Hello YouTube, this is Dave and YV with Ho Ho Hippity Hop Boo, and welcome to our channel. Say hello to everybody out there in YouTube land, YV.
Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Thanks for watching us today.
In today's episode we're going to have a Santa Claus Spectacular. You know, YV and I belong to a organization called the Golden Glow of Christmas Past, and the organization is a national, in fact international, we have some international members of Christmas enthusiasts with respect to vintage and antique Christmas items. And every year we have a convention, a week-long convention, and this year it was in Chicago. And a couple weeks ago I posted a video of the museum room at the convention, and so if you haven't seen that, you might want to go check it out. You can kind of see the types of items that people collect, but for the most part it's you know, all the way from very late 1800s all the way up to 40 years ago. The club has a 40-year rolling rule where, you know, to qualify to be in a museum room and part of the festivities of the convention, the item has to be at least 40 years old or older. One of the items that you see quite often at the convention are the antique and vintage German Santas, Nodders, candy containers, typically made out of paper mache and fabric. And while YV and I like those items, they are very, very expensive. So early on, when we joined the club back in, what was it?
2003.
Yeah, around 2003, went to our first convention. We decided that, you know, that kind of stuff was just not for us. And I'm primarily a vintage lighting collector. And if you've seen some of our older videos, I'm sure you've seen some of that stuff. YV likes to collect some of the holly and ivy plates from the early 1900s and even into the very, very late 1800s. But one thing we discovered in connection with our journey was there is a group of American folk artists who have brought back through the tradition these type of Santas, you know, typically with heads and faces made out of paper mache and then clothed in fabrics. And one artist that we discovered who has become very, very popular, probably one of the top folk artists of this day, is a gentleman by the name of Scott Smith of Rucus Studios. And what you see in front of you, I think, ranges in three styles typically. First style is what they call a nodder. And honey, if you could...
There's a nodder?
Yeah, get him to nod a little bit more maybe. There we go. So there's a nodder. The second style is a candy container, and some of these are candy containers. We're not going to show you, but the top half of the Santa would lift up, and then there'd be inside just kind of a round cardboard, typically container that you could put candy in it. And then the third style is just simply a figurine that has no other purpose other than being a figurine. You know, so what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of a closer look at some of these Santas, and you're going to see the details on their faces, and it's just stunning. Some of them are very whimsical, while others are more subdued, more of a, you know, very kind of a serious Santa. But also, a couple other things of note. The materials that Scott used, he told me one time that he tries to use vintage materials. So like we have a snowman that's not in this grouping here, but I think one time he told me that the jacket that he made for the snowman was, he guessed, from the 40s and came from curtains of an elk lodge. So, you know, he does try to maintain vintage materials when he can. And then secondly, I think when you see these items, you're going to see that there's just some great handmade toys and little materials that he's got hanging off of the Santa's cloaks. So anyway, let's dive in, and we'll take a little bit of a closer look and maybe have some comments. All right, first off, here we have a Santa on a sleigh. and you can tell that he's holding a what they call a putz house. Now, this may be a vintage putz house, or it may be one that Scott made himself. I don't know for sure, but as I mentioned, he does like to use vintage items. And let me kind of come in on his face a little bit. You know, this is one of those faces, a little bit more serious and almost a little bit of like sad eyes, but a great face. And, you know, Scott sculpts that and then makes it out of a paper mache type material. But you can see the detail in the face. It's just astounding. All right, so let's look at a little bit of the detail of the side of the Santa, and especially his toy sack there. You know, you can see he's got assorted toys and a little Christmas tree, and I don't know if you can see, this looks like a little horse right here. And Wybie, does that look like, it looks like a vintage glass garland there.
It does, and look at that cute little teddy bear. Any kid would want that.
Yeah, and let me kind of continue to spin it around here for you.
You can see he makes the bags.
Yeah, so he
in
would.
addition to the actual Santa. I'm not sure if he actually made the sleigh or if he found it, but he likes to incorporate old things.
Yeah, and you can tell that the sleigh in this case is made out of metal. But yeah, so that's the Santa and the sleigh. Okay, so here we have the next one, and this is actually the smallest Santa of the batch, and he's called Pinecone Santa. And if you look carefully, we'll kind of zoom in here, you can see that his body is made out of what appears to be a pine cone material. And interestingly, he's the only one that we're showing today that is not wearing any clothing, or you know, should say any fabric clothing like the others. And you know, a common theme with these vintage Santas is, first of all, notice that he's carrying a switch in one hand and then a tree in the other. But let's get in a little bit closer on his portrait. And I don't think the camera is focusing quite right. There we go.
To me, he has a face that looks like, get out of my way.
But you get friendly, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm collecting.
Yeah. And look at that beard. Look at that beard. It's just
fabulous.
It's just great. And once again, I think you can see the fabulous craftsmanship in the face and the molding and sculpting that he did on the face. And then, as far as his back is concerned, is he has a pretty primitive little kind of like a backpack and with some hay in the back there. So, you know, in this case, a much more simpler piece than the last one that you saw. Okay, next we're going to look at that nodding Santa that you saw earlier. And this one, he's just wearing just a beautiful robe, cloak. Wybie, what color would you say that is?
I would say it's a gray velvet embroidered with red flowers and gold around the edge. If we were to turn him, you'll see that.
And there's the flowers that she mentioned. But this is where I think Scott really excels also, is take a look at the cool things that he has hanging off the Santa. Here you got what looks to be like a drum, except it's got this a really cool face on it, and then you've got what appears to be an old horn. Once again, you see the common theme of the Santa holding a tree. But finally, and I'm going to have to kind of lift the camera up to show you this, he is, in the other hand, holding this little doll that is under glass. And let's take a closer look at his face there and look at the quality of his hat.
I really like his hat because it's different from all the other ones that we have.
Yeah, it's not, And pardon me, the camera doesn't seem to want to quite to focus on him. Okay, so here's one of the larger pieces that we're going to show you today. This Santa, to give you an idea, he's 29 inches tall. And he is really an impressive piece. He is a candy container. If we pulled his robe back, you'd see kind of the circular candy container. So you'd be able to pull the top half of him off, and you could put candy in there for children on Christmas morning. But anyway, YV, do you have any thoughts? What is color his robe there is?
It's of a tan, and then the hood, of course, is a burgundy with tan stitching. Now, Scott does a lot of this by hand or machine, so you can see the attention to detail he has. He's got that cute clown lantern in one hand, and in the other hand he's got a switch. So if you're a bad kid, watch out.
Yeah. He would have sculpted that face. And then you can see he's got hanging from his belt a small bag of toys. He's got kind of this really cool, let me see if I can zoom in there, little Santa there, but see next to Santa, there's once again this handmade sculpted little piece that he's got there. And then, to top it off, he's got a little handmade Nutcracker.
I mean, look at that beard. Doesn't it look real?
Yeah. So anyway, this is one of the larger pieces that you'll see. All right, this next Santa is a 20-inch candy container, and we'll actually, after we talk about him a little bit, we'll take his top half off just so you can kind of see what we're talking about. But you're going to see the different styling here. Let me kind of first zoom in a little bit on his face. Notice how his mouth is. He's just got kind of a little bit of a first of all, I can see teeth there, but he's smiling, but kind of a little crazy look to him. Kind of a happy-go-lucky Santa. And then moving down, look at the front of his coat there with that, I don't know, what would you call that, honey? That
Just a nice trim.
yeah, a nice trim. And then you notice, once again, a really cute basket with some toys in it. He's got a bell hanging off of his wrist there with some old glass beads.
And of course the feather tree in the other hand.
And then there's the customary feather tree. But let me zoom back out on him. You know, he's just different enough to there's. He's not uniform. You know, these pieces, as you look at them, you'll find that they're not uniform, that there's enough differences between them to just make them each as kind of unique and independent. All right, we're going to shut the camera down here, and YB will pull off his top. Okay, and there you can see Santa his top has been pulled off, and there's the candy container. And once again, pardon the camera movement, but I'm going to just kind of show you that, you know, you could
Put lots of candy in there.
drop the candy right in there. So, all right, we'll move on to the next piece. Okay, here's another nodder, and you can see he's really getting after it.
He's about 20 inches as well.
Yeah, he's about 20 inches, and let me kind of zoom in here.
Notice the beautiful embroidery on his cuffs as well as his collar.
Yeah, look at those cuffs. This is what we're talking about, attention to detail.
And even the lining underneath just matches beautifully.
Yeah. Just a lot of richness. And so here he's carrying a lantern. And then yet again, another little toy basket hanging off of his belt. And you can see some toys in that basket and some glass beads, garland hanging from his belt. So he's kind of a, traditional colors, obviously, black boots and the red coat. And just look at the cool rope that's tied around his waist. Okay, and here we have a Nutcracker Santa. He's 22 inches tall. He's kind of probably about the skinniest of the bunch, excluding maybe the Pinecone Santa you looked at. And once again, let's go in on his face there. Very, very whimsical styling on the face.
Great wrinkles.
Yeah, great wrinkles. Let me see if I can get in even closer so you can just see the fantastic workmanship. Yeah, there you go. Look at those eyebrows that are on there and the eyes.
I mean, he's skinny, but he's got a nice little belly on him.
Yeah, he's got almost like a little twinkle in his eye there. Luxurious beard. And then there he is holding the Nutcracker. And once again, you can see just the richness of the cloak and the materials that Scott used. Look at those little buttons on the vest that are got kind of a gold brass look to them. Once again, the embroidery work on the coat.
Look at those teeth on that Nutcracker.
And look at the boots there, red boots with some kind of like woolish looking material on the top of them around the rim of the boots. All right, so there's Nutcracker Santa, and on to the final Santa. Okay, here we have Parade Santa, and he measures in at about 34 inches. This is one of the larger pieces that Scott does. Typically he doesn't do stuff much larger than this. And you can see that he's got the red, white, and blue going. So what I'm going to do, though, is just kind of focus in on his portrait, and then we'll work our way down, because he's got a lot of cool stuff on him. Okay, so first of all, there he is, and he's got that kind of typical Uncle Sam portrait to him. And then he's holding, it's kind of like a cigar with a fanned out flag pattern. And now notice the clothing. He's got a tie. He's wearing a tie, kind of a greenish tie, I believe, right, YV?
No, it's blue.
Or blue? Okay.
Blue.
His coat is blue with red lapels. And then he's got a basket there with flags, and let me see if I can get in closer here.
Firecrackers.
Firecrackers.
Sparklers.
Sparklers, yeah. One says 4th of July there. And then you'll notice he's holding a red, white, and blue paper lantern. But all the way down his pants, he's just got really cool stuff pinned to him. He's got a drum on the side there of his leg.
Bugle.
And there you can see like a bugle. And then just some vintage looking paper products that, say Old Glory, 4th of July. Just running all the way up and down his pants. All right, so let me come back out to the wide view here. So out of the bunch of stuff you've seen, this particular piece is a favorite of both YV and I. Partly because of its uniqueness, its size, and he towers over the other pieces that you saw. But if you've watched any of our Christmas videos, you'll know that we typically do a patriotic themed room, and so this is where he'll go, and he'll be a
He'll be the star.
He'll be the star, yeah. He really will be of that, of those display items that we have in that room. Well, anyway, this concludes our video of talking a little bit about the Golden Glow. And by the way, if I can remember, I'll try to put a link to the Golden Glow website in the description of this video. But also introducing you, you've seen these pieces before, but I don't think we've ever talked about them, and just wanted to introduce you to some of the great work that's being done by current American folk artists. You might want to just Google some of the American holiday folk artists or something like that. I'm sure you'll see some great works out there. Well, that does it for YVNI. We hope you're having a good day. And
thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, we'll talk to you folks later. Take care.
Bye-bye.